Sorry for coming to you guys on a Thursday. Me and Brian recorded the whole podcast last night, went to edit it, and Brian's vocals didn't record, so, we had to do the whole thing over. So this week, me and Brian come to you talking about the All-Star Game and Fergie's sensational rendition of the National Anthem. Could Kawhi Leonard not be a Spur next season? Kirk Cousins on the Jets or the Browns, and which team we think he's better suited for. And then an entertaining as hell tournament for the NBA playoffs. If you guys don't know what that is, you'll just have to wait until the end to find that out. And you guys, make sure you subscribe wherever you get your podcast so you can get the pod as soon as it drops. And now, without further ado, episode 8.2 of BSing with SMB. Welcome to episode Pedro Stojakovic of BSing with SMB. I'm Sean, and this is Brian.
How is it going, my friend?
What's up? For the second time around, we're going to do episode 8. But what were your thoughts about All-Star Week? Or All-Star Weekend, I should say.
Other than the otherworldly bad introduction and National Anthem, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, the dunk contest and the three-point contest was kind of boring. I didn't watch too much of it because we've seen just about every dunk a human can possibly do at this point. But the game itself, I thought, was fantastic. I mean, the fourth quarter, it's what everyone wanted to see. It's the best players in the world turning it on in like a intense pickup game. So I thought it really picked up towards the end. Best All-Star game probably since Kobe Bryant was out there going at people one-on-one and blocked LeBron on the block late in the fourth quarter to seal the win. Yeah.
As opposed to white LeBron.
that known as Larry Bird, yeah.
Or Ben Simmons, I should say.
Oh, wow. Okay. There you go.
All right. But as far as Fergie, I thought that was actually my favorite part. She killed that National Anthem, like literally killed it.
Quite literally killed it, yeah. Colin Kaepernick stood up and was like, I'm done with this. That was the most offensive thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
But yeah, on to the game. I thought it was a pretty good game. It was interesting throughout. I put a couple shekels on the Team Steph +3 because I know I just wanted something to root on because I thought it was going to be trash like other All-Star games. But it was actually pretty fun, and it was pretty enjoying. It was kind of weird to see guys like Jimmy Butler get a DNP. I'm not exactly sure, why he would, come there.
Just give Lou Williams your spot.
Exactly. I mean, you still get all the luxury of having All-Star Week. You just don't suit. I mean, you do a DNP for 0 minutes. It doesn't make sense. LaMarcus Aldridge kind of did the same. I mean, he was only out there for 4. I know he's been to a couple, so I mean the luster's probably worn off. And maybe when he found out that they were actually going to be playing out there, he kind of decided against it. But I don't know. I think those guys should give it to people that actually want to be there and that'll actually play, especially if they're trying to keep this formula, the way that it's going now.
Yeah, especially someone like Lou Williams, who's probably never going to get a chance on an All-Star team again, who is legitimately deserving this year. Just still go. You're still going to be an All-Star. It's still going to be on your basketball reference page. Just let someone else play.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I also wanted to say I think I'm starting to get Kevin Hart fatigue. He is everywhere. I understand he's
absurd.
From Philly, and I love it that that he reps Philly, but I don't need to see him at the Super Bowl. I don't need to see him at the Super Bowl press conference. I don't need to see him announcing people for All-Star games. And it took 15 minutes. They had Jamie Foxx rapping and all kinds of crazy stuff out there. Then you had the terrible Pharrell halftime shows. I don't understand what's going on.
Yeah, they tried too hard. And it's a shame because, the NBA has the best cultural presence out of any of the sports. Mm-hmm. It's a legitimate 24/7, 365, always trending league. And they tried too hard. They don't have to. Just announce the players, have just, an okay halftime show. I'm sure they probably could have got just about anyone they wanted to. They were in LA.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Just trying too hard. Just let it organically grow. It's fine. You don't have to try to make everything as big and crazy as possible.
Who were the guys that stood out to you in the All-Star game? Besides the usual suspects.
Besides the usual suspects, I think Oladipo looked like he belonged. Mm-hmm. So that was nice to see in his limited time that he played. And then, of course, when it came to crunch time, just LeBron, this is my yard. I'm the big dog. I guess Kevin Durant being on your team too. So when you have arguably your stiffest competition running the world's most effective trap on poor Steph Curry on the sideline. But those two guys, I mean, like, it's same old. LeBron's a cyborg. He's like 80 years old, still playing like he's 25. And KD continues to prove that, the day that LeBron slows down, he's just going to take the torch and run with it.
Yeah, for sure. I don't want to seem like a homer, but I think, Embiid kind of looked like he belonged. It was kind of interesting to see, Giannis kind of like, not play up to what he's been billed as, throughout the whole season and them thinking that he's going to be the next up-and-coming guy. I looked like that was the kind of game where guys kind of like that assert themselves, and he kind of just, sat back in the shadows, kind of didn't play very well. So that was kind of interesting to see. I don't know if that really means anything, but, I just thought that was pretty interesting.
How terrified were you when LeBron almost yammed a putback on poor Joel Embiid and he hit the ground super hard in the first quarter?
I didn't care at all about him getting on a poster. All I cared about was LeBron falling on him and him hitting the ground. I was like, oh, my God, this is how it all ends, isn't it?
His face and the pictures of that are the most hysterical thing in the world.
No, they're terrifying.
Like, oh, no.
No, they are terrifying.
Oh, no.
What team, though, pose a question to you. What team do you think is going to look the best in the second half of the season?
I was going to say the Spurs. Don't want to bury the lead here, but I'm going to go with the Rockets because I think, they got some time. Everyone got to rest up. You're going to get a healthy Chris Paul, healthy James Harden, healthy Clint Capella. When those three are on the court, they're almost undefeated. I think they have one loss when all three of those guys play together. Mm-hmm. So if they get a whole healthy second half out of those guys, I think they might actually win the 1 seed in the West. I don't think that's too crazy to think.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know how much that makes a big difference. Granted, you go back to last year, it doesn't make a huge difference. And even the Houston crowds aren't like great crowds. Our guy Bill Simmons always talks about how they don't have great crowds, and it doesn't really seem like a good team plays there. It kind of seems like they're kind of a sucky team. But I don't think that would really make a big difference. But yeah, I can definitely see them looking the best in the second half. My take would probably be the Raptors. I think they're just going to kind of continue on what they had throughout the first half of the season. And that bench that they play with is really good. So I think that would be, something that we'll, definitely be looking forward to in the second half. But I saw you said you were going to talk about the Spurs. How about Kawhi not coming back?
He's like, well, I've been cleared. I don't feel like playing. I don't like you guys. So I'm going to go get the second opinion and hope that it says I can't play because I don't want to play for the Spurs anymore. This is crazy. Talking about the best two-way player in the league who's just doesn't want to play for one of the most well-run organizations in sporting history. Like, it's just absolutely absurd. This is why you always want to hoard as many assets as possible because you never know when a superstar becomes available. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, the best two-way player is 26 years old, and what most would probably think is a perfect dream scenario for him is just like, I'm done here. I'm out. I'm going to go get reprogrammed, do something else.
Boy, would that Lakers and Kings pick look really good right now next to Jason Tatum on the Sixers, or Markelle Fultz for that point, because they would have probably taken Tatum at 1. But, that being able to package that and, something else for Kawhi would be really nice right about now, just to kind of get that star power in here, even more star power, I should say, because, they do have a pretty young core.
Well, too bad, because those assets, that cupboard is basically bare now. You got the Lakers pick this year, and then that's it. You're just young players. And then it's once you start matching salaries, it's kind of tough to find something that makes sense and works for both teams. So, meanwhile, Danny Ainge is out here playing chess.
Now, that's fine, actually. You guys, the Lakers are going to be pretty bad. Down the stretch, you guys are going to end up with, the 6th pick, and I'm going to be completely okay with that because we get that unprotected Kings pick next year. So
yeah, well, the thing is that pick's 2 through 5 protected. So if it lands at 6, we won't get it. And if it's at 5, we just take another wing and trot out a lineup of Kyrie, Michael Porter Jr., Gordon Hayward,
he doesn't
Jaylen
have a
Brown,
back.
Jason Tatum. That's fine. He's more breaking news. He's back. That's a pun. He's back with his back. He's playing. He's been cleared to play. His agent told him not to because they think it'll hurt his draft stock.
He doesn't care. YOLO.
He's back. He's playing with his younger brother, Javon. They're going to be so much fun to watch if they make the tournament now. Someone can see poor man's Kevin Durant without a handle. I'm excited.
Kevin Durant without a handle. Yeah. That's a.
So he's basically like Michael Beasley.
I was about to say, yeah, so that's terrible.
Michael Beasley. Michael Beasley's okay, man. He was born with a hot hand. 1989.
The only
but no, I mean, it'll be interesting. Like, I'm excited to see him play. And this is a class, I think it's like 6 deep, depending on your thoughts on Trae Young. Mm-hmm. Speaking of Trae Young, his collegiate stats, identical to Jimmer Fredette's. Jimmer Fredette, 37.2 PER. Trae Young, 37.2 PER. Jimmer Fredette, 59.4% true shooting percentage. Trae Young, 59.3 true shooting percentage. They are the same person. So whoever gets Trae Young, have fun.
I actually like Trae Young. I think he could bring something to, the Sixers. I'm not sure if I would want him there. I mean, obviously, if you're going to have the chance to get the Kings pick next year, I'd probably rather take the Kings pick because you probably end somewhere between 1 and 5. So I think that would be a better scenario. Well, hey, it is what it is. I know last week we talked about, wins getting taken away from Notre Dame. Did you see that Louisville got their title taken? Do you think that they need to revamp how they, punish schools?
Yeah, it's so stupid because we all saw the games happen. We all saw Louisville win just because they were, paying players and having them hang out with strippers on the recruiting trips. Doesn't mean they won any less games. It's absurd. Just find the schools. Hit them in their pockets. Maybe that'll make them kind of like fix this up a little bit, find a way to kind of at least clarify these muddy waters that is college basketball recruiting because it makes no sense. Like, who cares? When you go to Wikipedia, it's going to say they didn't have any wins that season, but everyone saw it. Everyone remembers Kevin Ware's ankle shattering. Like, it all happened. So why? Why even bother? It's the most insane thing in the world to be like, nope, those games didn't happen. Give me a break.
Yeah, I don't agree with it. I know it was kind of funny last week because of the whole Indy thing, but I mean, seeing it happen to another team that I don't have any stock in, it's like it doesn't make sense. I mean, what are they going to do with the championship? Obviously, they give it back. It's kind of like Reggie Bush when he gave back his Heisman Trophy. Like, no, he's a Heisman Trophy winner. We all saw him as the best player in college football. So I was like,
didn't he keep the physical trophy? Doesn't he still have it?
I think so.
Like, they told him to send it back, and he was like, no.
Yeah, he was like, nah, that's mine now.
You got to come to my house and take this trophy. Bet. It's not happening.
Yeah, so it's like it doesn't make any sense. I mean, like you said, everybody saw it happen. I know we're kind of both against kind of like taking scholarships away from future guys, so like then that just hurts other kids. But I don't know what else to do. I mean, the other thing would, like you said, would be fines, but the school's not going to really care about fines. It's not going to stop anything because they're going to make more money getting them to, further in the NCAA championship. So they're still going to drop a bag on a kid, to use a One Shining Podcast reference.
Yeah, what if you fine the coaches? And then the coaches have to clean it up. Because I guarantee you, if you hit a coach for $100,000, unless some booster covers all their fines.
I was about to say, he's
so
it's a lose-lose situation. I mean, they take away the loss or they take away the wins in the championships, then it doesn't really make sense for history's sake. I mean, now that's just a vacated championship, so none of March Madness happened, even though we all saw it happen. But, I mean, you can't hit the coach because the school's just going to give him the money back. The booster's going to give him the money back. I mean, if Rick Pitino was fined $150,000, they'd be like, okay, all the boosters would put it together and the school would throw in some, and that $150,000 would be right back in his bank account.
Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, maybe just make the G League legit, like minor league baseball, and just have all the top prospects go there.
Yeah, for sure. But then that hurts the college game, and college not going to stand for that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so it's kind of a lose-lose situation. I mean, they continue with the, taking titles away and taking things away, but I mean, it's not really going to stop anything. The guys are just going to try and be more and more secretive with it.
Yeah.
So we're going to jump into a little bit of football. I know last week we talked about the Eagles not hiring an OC, and then they must have heard the podcast and decided, you know what, maybe we should listen to Sean and Brian and actually hire one. So they ended up promoting wide receiver coach Mike Groh to OC. It's just a title. And then they didn't want to make Deuce Staley feel bad, so they promoted him up to assistant head coach. So, I mean, like you said last week, they didn't really want to hurt anybody's feelings. They ended up doing that, I guess, per se. They both probably got pay bumps. It didn't really change anything, how they're going to operate or anything. It's just a guy's got a better title now.
Yeah, like you said, they didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings, so they make one guy assistant head coach, make the other guy the offensive coordinator. Yeah. Probably give him a pay bump, like you said. So nothing changes. No one's feelings get hurt. Same old, same old.
Exactly. Still going to work with the wide receivers, Mike Groh, and Deuce is still going to work with the running backs and probably be handling the running back rotation and all that kind of jazz. So, I mean, like you said, I don't think it's going to really change anything. I mean, the Eagles are still going to be the best team in the league. Excuse me. Sorry. Don't worry, bro. It's only like 6 more months of that. It's okay.
No, of course.
But did you hear the Jets were trying to just give Kirk Cousins a blank check?
Might as well. I mean, they haven't been able to hit any of the quarterbacks they've drafted ever. So why not just go with someone that's somewhat proven?
When have they drafted a quarterback?
Well, Mark Sanchez was 6th overall.
That doesn't count. That was 100 years ago, and that actually worked out for a while.
100 years ago? That was like 2008?
Yeah, that is almost 10 years ago. And that worked out for them. That literally worked out for them. He was
the equivalent of Rex Grossman. He did nothing.
He was Alex Smith.
He was not.
He was Alex Smith before Alex Smith turned into the guy he was last year. He was like a 20 touchdown a game guy or 20 touchdown a season guy, maybe a little bit less. And you just But
he turned and handed the ball off to Thomas Jones
and played defense.
Yeah,
well, he didn't play defense. But yeah, I mean, when you have a defense that's that dominant, you don't have to have a quarterback that can sling it all around. But I mean, they haven't really put any resources into quarterback position. I mean, I know they have traded or they did use a 2nd-round pick on Christian Hackenberg, who I don't even think has played a regular season game. They got Bryce Petty. Geno. Oh, Smith. Yeah, I forgot about Geno. Geno was a 2nd-round pick. Yeah. Never mind.
So they've used top 3 picks in like the past 6 years and have absolutely nothing to show for it. They can't even get Hackenberg on the field.
I don't know.
He's that bad. They can't. They had nobody and they still couldn't even get him on the field.
I don't know if
he was hitting photographers on the sidelines throwing passes in 7-on-7.
Yeah, but I mean, to his credit, so did what's his name, Osweiler. He killed the guy on national TV. So hit that poor man right in the face. Dude never saw that ball coming. He's probably still laying on the sideline. They have a chalk out print now.
So his only player comp is to murdering photogs, like Brock Osweiler, the heist.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to stick with my original point that they have a terrible track. Can you even name the last time they've drafted a quarterback that was actually good? Mark, you will not ever convince me Mark Sanchez was good. His team was good. He was not good.
Who was their quarterback before? It would probably have to be Chad Pennington. Did they draft Chad Pennington? I think they drafted Chad
I thought he started in Miami, didn't he?
Oh, dang, you're right. Yeah. Nope. You got me. Yeah. I have been stumped.
So you got
Joe Namath.
So you give Joe smoking Joe. So you have to throw $500 million at Kirk Cousins because you can't draft at all.
I don't know though. I mean, does Kirk Cousins move the needle? I mean, he's a good quarterback. Don't get me wrong. I think he's really good. He's probably top 10 guy. But I don't know if that moves the needle. They don't have the pieces around him to really. I mean, Robbie Anderson's a really good piece. I think as long I was about to say, as long as he can keep his head straight, I think he'll be a pretty good piece. I mean, they have Curse, but he's not gonna be there for much longer. Austin Severian-Jenkins, I think he's good. But then you got running back. They don't really have running backs, so it's like, I mean, does spending $150 million on a quarterback really do anything for you? I mean, it gives you ticket sales and probably jersey sales, but besides that, does it help your team really?
Well, what you do is you spend a bunch on Cousins and then use all of your draft capital on best player available and try to build up your roster talent. Because, I mean, Kirk Cousins is still relatively young. I mean, he could probably play the position for another, 8 to 10 years. So if you get him under contract, you lock him down, then it gives you a little bit of a window here to start adding pieces around. Like, you can draft a receiver in the first round if there's a guy that you really like, or, early in the second round. You can start doing those things to build up the weapons around him, and then maybe hopes a big-name free agent wide receiver hits the market next year, like Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I just don't think that moves the needle much. I think you just kind of keep on with Todd Bowles. I think Todd Bowles is a pretty good coach. I think you just draft a quarterback, let him groom somebody, and then you just go and rock out with the defense. I mean, they've put draft capital into the defense. They got some solid players on the defense, at least at the three levels. I mean, at least one good player on each of the levels. You got Jamal Adams, and you got what's the Brody from the linebacker they drafted last year or 2 years ago? Is it Deron Lee?
From Ohio State.
And then you got Leonard Williams too. So I mean, they still have pieces along all three sections of the defense, but I think they just need to put more into that. I think they can, also shore up the receiver position. I think they just have. My point is, I think they have too many holes right now to throw $150 million at Kirk Cousins and then just hope for the best.
Is the top 10 defense with Kirk Cousins a Super Bowl contender?
No, they wouldn't even be the best team in their division.
You don't think they'd be a top 10 defense with Kirk Cousins? You don't think would be a Super Bowl contender?
No.
That's spicy.
No, it's not.
That is spicy.
It's not spicy. Because
that's a spicy meatball.
What happens
that is a certified spicy meatball.
No, it's not. You have to remember, the Pats are in their division.
Yes.
Okay, and then they still have to play the Steelers. They still have to get through the Jags. They still have to get through all these teams. I don't think they're – will they make the playoffs? Yeah, probably. I would give them that. They would definitely be the wild card. They wouldn't win that division. They would win a wild card, or they would get a wild card. They would end up facing either the Steelers or the Jags or the Pats in the second round and lose.
But here's the thing. If you make the playoffs, all you got to do is just get hot. Giants did it twice.
Yeah,
they were cheeks both those years, and they got hot at the right time. And
shout out Mike Cook.
Yeah, exactly. So I think if you have the ability to make some noise, Brady is 68 years old, so he's probably only got 2 or 3 more years left. Like I said, it's all about getting Kirk Cousins under contract. It's not so much for this upcoming year. It's what it allows you to do with your roster, so that way, when he hits his age 29 or 30 season, you still have him under contract, and you've been able to develop all these other positions with an able-bodied quarterback instead of trying to add the quarterback as that last piece of the puzzle.
So look, though, why wouldn't you draft your quarterback here, and you don't worry about Kirk, and you use the Warriors motto, well, everybody else in the NBA, where Brady is going to run that division, and why don't you get ready for when Brady is finished? Whether that's the end of this.
What if that quarterback sucks?
Yeah, but what if Kirk Cousins doesn't play great there? I don't know. I mean, I think he's a good quarterback. I don't think he is only a guy that can be good when he has weapons around him. I think he proved that this year, that he can still be, an effective QB. But I don't know. I just think that that's a sketchy situation. I have a lot more faith in the Browns doing that because I think the Browns have a more ready-to-win roster than the Jets. I just don't think the Jets have. That is a spicy meatball.
Oh my God! Okay,
all right, but look.
For people keeping track at home, the Cleveland Browns won 0 football games this year.
Their coach and their quarterback is water trash.
Won about 6. The Jets won 6 games this year.
Their quarterback is water trash.
The Jets started at McCown.
If you put that McCown on the field instead of Kaiser, they would win 4 games. And that's with the coaching blunders of Hugh Jackson.
I feel the same way Stephen A. Smith feels whenever he's debating Max Kellerman on First Take right now. I feel like just throwing out some really long, drawn-out words with that is blasphemous.
Bro, I don't
So
understand.
You're saying McCown would have won 4 games for the Browns?
You understand how bad Kaiser was, correct?
He was horrendous, but he also had nobody to throw the ball to. Less than nobody.
I understand that, but what I was saying is not so. I guess I shouldn't say this year. So the weapons that he has with Corey Coleman, if healthy, Josh Gordon, if he's and then you got David Njoku, who is one of the highest rated tight ends coming out last year. You got Duke Johnson. I just think they have a whole bunch of offensive weapons. Offensive line, they had going into the season a really good offensive line. I know they lost Joe Thomas. They lost Joe Thomas during the season, so like that kind of hurt them a little bit. But I honestly think that they have more talent there. On defense, I mean, they have 1 and 4 as well. So if they bring in Kirk Cousins and they can use 1 and 4 on defense to add to Myles Garrett and Jamie Collins and all those guys, I think they have a legitimate chance of being better than a Kirk Cousins led Jets team.
So in that hypothetical, they would most likely go Chubb at 1, right?
Chubb
and Minka at 4.
Wait, Chubb, Garrett, and Jamie Collins. Come on, son.
And then Minka at 4, right?
Yes. That doesn't push the needle at all. And then they still have the 2 second-round picks. They have I think either 1 or 2 thirds. So it's like, I mean, that's 6 guys that they got in the first 90.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad, but it's tough.
All right, I guess we can shelve that conversation for later on in the summer. So we're going to jump into the Entertaining is Hell tournament, which was coined by Bill Simmons. And basically how it goes is instead of the basic playoff scenario that we have now where, the top 8 teams in each conference play, teams 1 through 14 record-wise get basically a bye. And then the Entertaining is Hell tournament starts with the last 16 teams, and they play 1-game playoffs to see who gets the last 2 seeds. So me and Brian set the bracket up, and we're going to go down the list of teams, and we're going to go through the matchups or so, and pick who's going to win. And then maybe next week we will do the the actual playoff bracket with our 2 teams in there. So
and there's in this proposed tournament, it is to incentivize tanking. Mm-hmm. So those last 2 teams, the winner of the Entertaining is Hell tournament would actually get rewarded with a position in the draft. Maybe not number 1 overall, but maybe a top 5 pick or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, they get those additional playoff revenue dollars for having the games as well. So it's to kind of get rid of tanking, so to say, that the deplorable things that the Sixers have done in the past to just gut one of the third largest markets, the third largest market in the NBA, and they're just like, oh, well, we messed up on Andrew Bynum, he's a bum, so let's trade away everything else that has any value. But anyways, so that's the whole premise of this tournament and kind of the idea behind it.
I would like to say to that whole little soliloquy you just gave, Sam Hinkie died for our sins and is the reason why the Sixers are going to win 47 games this year. Woo! You heard it here. Hot take, Sean.
47 games.
Yep. You heard it? You want to put something on it?
Well, you already owe me.
I do owe you Nito Burrito.
Because of that outlandish 10 games over 500 at the All-Star break.
I wasn't that far off, but I said they were 5 games over. I wasn't super far off. Hey, I'm just saying. So the first game in the Entertaining is Hell tournament was between 1 through 16, or 1 and 16, and that was the Sixers and the Suns. And who's going to win that game, Brian?
Well, the Sixers win because the Suns are the worst modern basketball. Actually, they're not, but they're one of the worst modern basketball teams in history. They're bad. It's painful watch. I watch a lot of Suns basketball because I have League Pass, and they're one of the few teams that are like consistently on after the 7:30 games. Mm-hmm. And it's just Devin Booker putting up 30 shots a game and Marquise Chris fouling out in 5 minutes. It's so bad.
And Dragon Bender being terrible.
Actually, he's not too bad. It's just he's the type of guy that's going to take a little bit while to adjust to the NBA. He only played like 10 minutes a game when he was over in Europe. He just needs to acclimate to American-style basketball. I think he'll be fine. But, yeah, the Suns are really bad. I don't know why you're spending this much time. The Suns are awful, and the Sixers probably win by like 10.
All right. Second game is the 8-9 matchup. Knicks versus the Bulls.
Well, if Kristaps was healthy, I'd say the Knicks, but with his ACL, the Bulls. I mean, Zach LaVine's back. He's got a little bounce to him. It'd probably be the Bulls because that Knicks roster without Kristaps is ugly.
Yeah, for sure. Then you got the 12-5 matchup, which is the Pistons and the Grizzlies.
Love the Pistons now that they got Blake Griffin. The guard play is atrocious. Their wing play is atrocious. But they've got two great bigs, and Blake Griffin has enough playmaking ability to make it work, that lack of kind of guard depth that they have. So Pistons over the Grizzlies, especially because they already announced Mike Conley's done for the year. So Pistons.
All right. In the 4-13 matchup, we got Miami versus the Magic.
Miami, I mean, even though Waiters is out, Dwayne Wade coming back maybe gives them a little bit of boost. Veteran leadership gives you like 2 meaningful minutes a game down the stretch. And the Magic are really bad, but Mario Hezonja has been a blast to watch these past 3 weeks. He's been the player that everyone was hoping that he would be, which means Orlando probably gives him $80 million and he becomes a G League player in 3
Evan
years.
Fournier.
So, yeah, exactly.
I don't know if you were not aware of this, but Dwayne Wade retired 3 years ago. That is the shell of Dwayne Wade, or whatever the hell they want to call that person that is out there playing now. This is not Dwayne Wade.
Yeah, ever since Boston ripped his heart out in the playoffs last year.
Oh my God! All right, so you got the Utah Donovan Mitchells versus the Mavericks.
Okay, Rudy Gobert is really good. So that was a little disrespectful, especially because my Twitter bio says was right about Rudy Gobert. Yeah, but I love the Jazz. I think Quinn Snyder is one of the 5 best coaches in the NBA right now. Donovan Mitchell's playing great, even though he's more of a high-volume guy. And Rudy Gobert, probably the best interior defender in basketball. So,
all right,
going with the Jazz.
What were you right about with Rudy Gobert, that a 7'2" dude could block a shot? That is next level.
Sean, could you do me a favor?
No, I could not.
And tell me who was all NBA last year at the center position?
That's fine.
I believe, and I could be mistaken, it was Rudy Gobert. All right, so I was right about Rudy Gobert.
All right. Then the next matchup we got is Hornets versus Kings.
That's ugly. God, that's so ugly. But it'd be the Hornets by default because the Kings are the worst defensive team in basketball. It's bad. It's very bad. And De'Aaron Fox, despite his love of Dragon Ball Z, can only do so much on his own.
I was about to say, do you think any, De'Aaron Fox alpha dog kind of stuff comes out, especially going up against Kemba? That's like one of their big guys. Obviously, they probably wouldn't be able to do anything with Dwight, so, that would cause problems. But, I think that, that would have... I think he would really try to outplay Kemba. I think he would outplay Kemba. But.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. The Hornets are like king of the I like their players but hate their contracts. Mm-hmm. Like, I like Kemba, hate his contract. Nicholas Batum, I really like him as a two-way player. He's making $25 million a year. I don't like that. No bueno. Yeah. Marvin Williams, I like as a rotational guy. Don't like the fact he's making $13 million a year. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, great defender. Would love to have him on my team. Not for $11 million. So... they have a bunch of guys that you're like, oh, yeah, I'd be interested. Oh, my, look at that contract. So.
Isn't Batum one of those guys that cashed out on that offseason where prices skyrocketed?
Oh, yeah. 5 years, $125 million.
Sheesh. Next one, we got 7-10. Lakers versus the Nets.
Nets, Nets. I love the Brooklyn Nets or the fighting 2015 draft classes. Brooklyn's like...
Spicy.
They are 2 years away from being
2 years away.
They're 2 years away from being a top 4 seed in the East. I really believe that. I really do.
Okay. Then the last game in the first round, we got Clippers versus Hawks.
Clippers, that's a bloodbath.
I was gonna say that's gonna be pretty bad. So on to the Elite Eight. First game we got. I think that's 1-8. We got the Sixers versus the Bulls.
Which I think is the Sixers again, just because the Bulls roster is still pretty bad. The only reason they really got hot there for a period was because Mirotic came back and they immediately traded him. So, yeah, the Bulls probably get taken care of pretty easily. The only reason they're in the second round is because they played the lifeless Knicks.
And the Sixers are currently playing the Bulls and winning by 2 points. They should be winning by a lot more. They were up by 15 points in the first quarter, and I had them -2.5 in the first quarter, because I decided that since I've been betting on them, they have won. So until they lose, I will continue to bet on them. But
they're losing tonight.
But they were -2.5. They were up by 15 with 1.6 seconds left in the first quarter. They had a chance to make it a 1-point game. They shot a half-court shot, and I have never been so scared in my life.
Oh, my goodness.
But you got the Sixers in that one. Next one, we got Pistons versus the Heat.
Pistons again. I love their Drummond and Griffin's almost as good of a front court when healthy as there is in the NBA. So I'm rolling with the Pistons.
Jazz, Hornets.
Jazz. The Hornets, like we said, Kemba is really it. They don't really Dwight. Love the Jazz. I think Rudy Gobert eats up Dwight and Donovan Mitchell. I don't know who's checking him on the Hornets.
Kemba.
Okay, so it's definitely the Jazz, 100%. There's a max bet on the Jazz.
Shoebox, huh?
Yeah.
Nets, Clippers.
Nets. I really like the Nets. I really like the Nets. And the Clippers, I guess so much of it comes down to health. But I don't think Gallinari or Avery Bradley are going to be able to really stay healthy for the remainder of the year. They might miss time. And I really think the Nets are the type of team that give you a lot of problems with Dinwiddie, D'Lo, and I think once they start integrating John in their offense a little bit more, I think he's going to be a legitimate, out-prime Al Jefferson big that you just throw the ball in the paint and let him cook.
For sure.
Plus, they got Alan Crabb. They got a lot of guys.
I was gonna say they have that all irrational confidence team too, where they just start lighting and they shoot a whole bunch of threes too, because they don't have anything to lose and they can get hot. I mean, it's like you said, it's a one game kind of series, so I mean anybody can catch fire, and it's just kind of like the NCAA tournaments. When they do the conference play, it's only one game, so anybody catch fire and they're on to the next round, and some teams can ride that. Obviously, if they did win the Entertaining as Hell tournament, I mean, they would still have to go up against, the Rockets or the Warriors, so you don't have to worry about them making much noise then, but it would still be, a fun ride for those, 4 games watching them do that.
Exactly, and there's one thing that they do probably better than anybody in the NBA. It's consistently play hard. Mm-hmm. So those are the types of teams that you like. You don't have to worry about them showing up. They will at every game. Yeah,
for sure. So down to the final 4, we got the Sixers versus the Pistons.
I originally said that I like the Pistons and was vetoed here, so I guess it's going to be the Sixers regardless of what I say.
That is not what happened.
Yeah,
actually,
I was vetoed by by host and producer Sean Quarterman. So,
and in the other game, we got the Jazz and the Nets,
which I like the Nets against the Jazz because I'm an irrational Nets believer. But once again, was vetoed by Sean Quarterman. So we'll just go with the Sixers versus the Jazz.
We all know that this will end with the Sixers versus the Jazz.
No.
Or the Sixers versus the Nets, if you want to go with that. The Pistons aren't beating the Sixers. I'm sorry, that's just not happening.
But you know what's going to be great is you're going to get Donovan Mitchell is going to get robbed of the Rookie of the Year, which I don't think it would be out by then. I guess it depends how they announce the awards.
Yeah.
But Donovan Mitchell get robbed of Rookie of the Year, and he just rips Ben Simmons' head off at half court and goes for 50 against the Sixers.
Robbed.
I
don't understand. This is outlandish.
Robbed.
Ben is almost averaging a triple-double. You just out here like he's just by accident. Oh, he's just kind of putting those numbers up. Oh, you wanted to give me wins, all this other stuff. I mean, they have the same amount of wins, and the Jazz were just on a 10-game win streak. So
what's he averaging? It's 16, 7, and 6?
Yeah, it's like 16. I think it's 16, 8, and 7.
16, 8, and 7?
Yeah. And
Mitchell's going to end up averaging probably 25 and 4.
Something like that.
I like the guy that's
even you
carrying
don't
the
believe
offense by himself. No, I just like the guy that's carrying the offense by himself. He's the alpha dog on that team.
I don't want to hear it. So then we go to the finals and we got Sixers versus the Jazz.
The Jazz would win.
I probably do agree with you on that one.
I firmly believe they're good. They're a good matchup. Yeah,
in a one game series, I think they would. In a series, I don't think they would win a 7-game series. But I do think they do have some of the guys that can really get hot. During that time, or unless your boy Bay Crowder shoots them out of a game. I mean, that is always a possibility. So
yes, that's very true. That is very true.
All right, so the Jazz. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna yell Ricky Rubio really loud so we can move on from that.
So the Jazz, would end up winning the tournament, whatever their prize is. I don't know whether it's draft pick or what it may be. But they would then get the chance to play the Warriors. So I'm not sure that's a great consolation prize to win in the tournament. Saw that last year. This is very true. And that was with Gordon Hayward.
And Rudy Gobert got spun like a top.
Yep.
Steph. Painful.
Yep.
Painful
and then the Sixers would get to play the Rockets and would lose and either get swept or lose in 5. I think they would probably lose in 5. I think they played them really well this year. They had 2 games where they actually should have beat them both times. They were up, I think, by 20 the first time they played, and they ended up letting them come back. They did actually win the second game. But I just think that, that would be a good series. It would be an entertaining series. I don't know if it would be good. It would probably be like back in the day when, or I guess not back in the day, but LeBron played the Pacers, and they would be super entertaining games, and the Heat would still win 4-1 or 4-2. So I think it would be a series kind of like that, really entertaining, a whole bunch of, big plays. I think, Embiid would really get put on the map at that point, in a series like that, especially against Clint Capella. I think he would little boy Clint Capella a lot.
Oh, my.
I know you love Clint Capella, but
oh, my God.
You do understand that he's like the second best big man in the league. Second or third best big man in the league.
Second or third best big man in the league.
Yes.
That's spicy.
It's not that spicy. I mean,
availability is the best ability.
And he has been available this year.
Somewhat. I mean, he still missed how many games? Like
he missed
12?
8. No, I think he missed 10 games.
10
no,
games?
11 games. He missed 11 games. They've played 56. So he's played for 44 games. A lot of those were
1/5 of the season.
A lot of them were back-to-backs. So that was due to them not playing him on back-to-backs, not him not being able to play on back-to-backs. And then he had that, he had a foot injury and the tightness of the back. But, I mean, so my point is I think that he's the second best. I mean, I think you can have an argument with him and Boogie. I think he's an all-around better player than Boogie. Boogie might be better than him offensively right now, but Boogie has also been in the league for, 8 years?
Oh, my goodness.
I don't understand how you act like this is so outlandish.
He's not better than Boogie. Okay. There's no way. He's not better than Boogie.
So he's not your number 2 guy. He's your number 3 guy.
Even then it gets like.
Who else you gonna put in him so I could jump through this microphone and slap you?
Well, there's an argument that could be made for Draymond.
No.
No, just no.
No.
Just no.
No.
Just no.
No, that's not. That's not even a real conversation. I love Draymond to death. I'm one of his biggest fans, but no, absolutely not.
Wow, tough crowd. I'm just saying.
You tried to put him in there. I mean, I wouldn't even put Draymond if we're talking about strictly big men. I'm not going to call Draymond a big man. I'm going to call him a stretch 4. And I wouldn't even put Draymond over a guy if we're talking about big men over like a guy like you, like Rudy Gobert. So I don't think that he would even be in that conversation of big men. I mean, is he a great defender? Yeah, awesome. Should be, defensive player of the year. Probably should have won it that year that they gave it to Kawhi, but you know how that goes.
If Joel does it for the remainder of the year, then I think you have a fair argument. But the fact that right now the most games he's ever played in a season is still missing 1/5 of the season, and there's still like 30 games left. Got to see him finish out. And then it's like, okay, right, we've seen you do it once. That's good enough for me. Until he does it, he hasn't done it.
Okay. I'll let you go with that. I'm not gonna argue you anymore. You just the Sixers hate. I understand. We had the same problem with the Eagles hate to start the season. Then you couldn't do anything, as the season could progress. I still have a text that you said that the Eagles are going to regress next year and they weren't going to win 10 games. But, that's for another podcast.
What did I say? I said they were going to win 9 games?
I think you said they were going to win 9 games next year. And this was before, Carson got hurt and all that kind of stuff. You just said, they were going to have regression and they're going to win 9 games.
I stand by that.
Okay, that's enough of this. And that was that'll wrap it up for episode 8 of BSing with S&B. Oh, my God. All right, bud. I'll talk to you next week.
Shout out Ireland if you're actually in Ireland. I don't believe you. So, shout out.
All right, bud.
I'll see ya.